He went by
Okay,
himself.
Suzanne, today's date,
Is December 29th, and we're at
2002.
2002. We're at my mom and dad's house, and we're going to go over our first excursion into the genealogy chart.
Oh,
And give us your full name.
I'm Suzanne Christine Stahley,
Okay.
daughter of
Daughter of.
Charlotte and Anthony Stahley.
Hey, Dad, can you look at the camera and tell us your name and your date of birth?
Anthony Michael Stahley, November the 27th, 1918.
And where were you born?
Pentown, Indiana, in the front room.
All right.
No, they didn't have hospitals then to go. They didn't say you go to the hospital.
And who's this? Say your
Just give your
name.
name. She went
Sandy's. Do I say Stahley, right?
Helen.
Full name, full name.
Sandy Helen Stahley.
Is it Sandra?
It's
Sandra.
Sandra. Sorry, Dad, but
We're on a
that's...
videotape?
Yeah. Sandy,
Okay.
all this questioning will be on. All right, let's turn it on.
Yeah.
You got your pretty
She
well
was
tagged
born
on
in
it.
Cincinnati.
But Dad, you were
Ohio.
born at home.
And you were
right?
born where?
Well, sure.
Cincinnati,
You
Ohio.
guys are all born at home.
Well, sure.
I'm David Coons Ryan, and I'm the husband of Suzanne Christine Staley. And I was born
Where were
February
you?
1st,
No, he said-
1953
Stahley, yeah.
in Salem, Massachusetts. And I'm
Really?
the son of John Edward Ryan and Dorothy
How about here?
Coons Ryan.
No, that's us, but.
Okay,
But
David has
your
mainly
dad-
been developing the
Dad had
chart.
only 7
which is
listed in the
Pacific.
family, so it must have been, that census must have been after.
All right, this is my mom. Smile, Mom.
Go ahead, speak
Just
up.
go ahead and speak.
Oh, Charlotte Rose Linville.
And you were born in what year and what
And
town?
November 21st, 1920.
Okay, great. In Batesville, or
Clarksburg.
Clarksburg, Indiana. Okay, great. All
I
right.
was
So now on this chart,
christened or something, I took the other.
with the Linvilles,
Oh,
if-
no, when I was christened, I took Michael, but it ain't.
let me ask you about the Linvilles, Mom, first. So I got Monty Linville was
Yeah.
your grandfather, right?
Yeah, that was my dad's father.
Okay. And do you happen, and did he stay in Clarksville?
Clarksburg.
Clarksburg.
Oh, yes, he lived there almost all his life.
Okay. And now I was able to find in the records in the Batesville Library that he and Letty A. Wilson was her name. Does this make sense to you? Were
Yes.
married
Letty?
in September 15th, 1888. Does that make sense to you?
Well, that part doesn't, but the Wilson certainly does because my dad's name was, middle name
Middle
was
name.
Wilson, and so we gave young Tony middle name of Wilson. So that was her maiden name, yes.
Now in the
Do you remember
yeah,
the name
right there.
Letty?
do you remember the
Is
name?
that
Yeah, I do.
people?
That-
Okay,
that-
good. That's right.
Oh, okay,
Great.
great. Do you happen to know? Do you happen to know what the A stood for, if anything, or anything like that? Did you know her at all?
Oh, no, she died when my dad was about 6 or 7,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. So, do you have any idea then, any more about Monty Linville, where he was from, or what his family, before that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Do you have
Now,
any idea if he was born in Indiana or in
I don't know.
Okay.
England
I'm sure he really was.
or Kentucky? Or...
now let me ask you about these Linville. I went into the, I went to Batesville yesterday and looked up some records.
Oh, you did?
So now tell me if any of these Bates, now in that area, I made a copy of all the Linvilles from either the 1880 census or the 1900 census. Now Fugit is the area that it's in, F-U-G-I-T, does that make sense, right?
No.
Where's
Oh, okay,
Fugit?
well it's Fugit Township, which Clarksburg is within,
Oh.
which is within
We-
Decatur County.
She didn't know that was that township.
It
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
I
sound
knew
like
Adams
that, no, no.
Township was where I was.
Right, there you go. Because you were in
No, I have
Pentown,
no idea.
just like Adams Township.
She
Fugit,
was,
F-U-G.
she was also in Ripley County when she lived in Batesville.
Right.
Same
exactly.
as I was,
Right, right.
but not in Adams Township maybe,
Okay,
Ripley County.
all right. So, but she was actually according to the census, Clarksburg is in Fugit,
Okay,
F-U-G-I-T
that's- yeah.
township.
You
That's
never
what-
heard of that? That's weird.
Well, they left there
Yeah,
when she
why
was
would they?
just.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
so you
But
left
that's
when
like
you
a
were there.
French thing.
Do any of these names make
Wow.
sense to you? A Jesse Linville, a Sarah Linville, a Momed Linville, Edward, Jenny, Nettie, Carrie.
Well, Nettie, wasn't there an,
Nettie.
is that a
Letty.
different, oh,
Letty,
that's
that was
Letty,
his
okay.
wife, Yeah.
No,
No?
not really.
Okay, Wilbur, Clancy.
Wasn't there a
Albert.
Clancy somewhere?
I thought there was a Wilbur.
These are folks from, this is the only Linvilles that come up in that area in 1880.
Oh,
A lot of
Okay.
Linvilles.
But these are all, no, these are all kids within the one, it's one family of Jesse and Sarah. And what I'm having trouble with is finding Monty in the 1880 census. I can't find him. And I should find him. I
He-
should, but I can't
Give
find him.
any
That
sense,
was-
maybe he was from
That
a
was
different
40 years
state?
before she was
He could
born.
have been, but I.
That was
had no
40
knowledge
years
of that.
before she was
He
born.
lived
Yeah,
all his life,
yeah.
I knew
Now, I
him,
just wonder if any of these relatives, because it could give me, and then I went to 19, and I can't find him in the 1900 census either. And he should be there, so I'm just saying I can't find him.
Was Monty like a middle name by any chance
that was
in his first name? That was in a,
What kind of
was
name
short
is
on
that?
Montgomery?
It's English.
Oh, Monty,
is.
yeah, duh.
Is it
Monty
M-O-N-T-E?
Linville, duh.
M-O-N-T-E.
That's very
with that
British.
accent.
Oh, with an accent, she said. Oh, with an accent. And
Well,
it
that's
wasn't,
French then.
Well, I presume it had an accent. Most of them over here do. Oh, you can't take that as.
but it wasn't Montgomery.
Monty
No, I don't
could have
think
been
it was
Montgomery.
Monty. Well, all I
You
know.
always know
I'll
him
just say
as
that in the
Monty.
marriage record, it had it as, and which you can't necessarily, you know, and when I say record, in this index, it has it as M-O-N-T, and then middle initial, big T, excuse me, good T. So it has M-O-N-T, then space, capital T, then
Oh.
space, Linville. That's how.
Didn't have an E on there.
Didn't have-
Oh,
at
well,
least-
then, I mean, I just
But-
assumed
but-
I did.
No, but they may have stopped at 4 letters.
Right, they do,
Yeah.
yeah.
It may have
You're
stopped at
right.
4 letters
Yeah,
in
you're
this
right.
index. So
Yeah.
I'll have to, you know,
Yeah, it's
anyway,
so
we'll keep searching. Does Clarina, Emma, Claude, Mary,
Get these names.
Well,
Charles?
Mary
Why we
does,
wouldn't
but of
record
course
this, there's no
everybody
way you
has
could do
Mary.
this.
Mary Linville?
It could be, yeah.
All right, that's a possibility. But I mean, these aren't like cousins or anything that you
Well,
recognize.
Clarina, you remember something like that.
And a Sarah Linville, a Clyde.
Yeah, now Clyde, I remember that.
Oh, really?
Oh, there we go.
Exactly
Cool.
who, but Clyde Linville.
Is Clyde, where's the pencil I had?
Do you remember anything?
What about Clyde?
I don't recall except hear my
It's
phone talk about
about
him.
Clyde? So he could have been a brother of Monty? Or
He could have been an uncle.
an uncle
sort
of you or your
Nephew.
mom
Not
and
mine,
dad?
but my parents.
An uncle.
My
That would-
dad,
Yeah.
Maybe a
Okay.
nephew of the other person that was born earlier.
could be.
Because he was born in 1882, so that would make sense, wouldn't it? So you a Clyde. All right, we could search that further.
Possibly as an uncle
Possibly. as
of
an-
her parents, of her father.
Got it. Good. That's very helpful. Very helpful. Got that. I got a Hayes.
Yeah, Hayes.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
What about Hayes?
I think Hayes, they used to call him Red, because he had red hair. Excuse me, yeah.
Oh,
My
cool.
dad had a red mustache one time.
Who did?
My dad. And
Oh, so this would be a relative then,
so,
because
uncle
it,
probably, great uncle. Yeah, Hayes, I remember that name.
And his wife's name was Halla,
Well, I don't recall that.
or Hay. I think it's H-A-L-A.
Haley?
Or Halda. I know it looks like H-A-L-A. Wife, son John, Netta as a daughter, and Nellie as a daughter.
Well, now there's a Nellie that I go back with, I think.
Wait, get that one thing. Somehow I had hit standby and I'm not sure where.
I'm not-
Okay, let's go.
You're not in
Yes.
still, right?
No.
Okay.
That's
Great.
pretty cool.
No, let me ask you again.
I was
So,
from Switzerland, though. It's not.
there
not
was
Switzerland.
Hayes,
Up a little
Linville
bit
you
toward
recognize.
Belgium or
Yes, I
whatever,
immediately,
Switzerland.
yeah.
you need to get closer for her to hear this.
To the
Okay.
north.
Yeah.
North.
Okay.
Right there.
Or for us to hear. Let me move your chair in a little bit. Yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so tell us about Hayes
No,
again.
it wasn't up
Well,
that far.
all I know about him, that he lived in Clarksburg. I don't know what
Hey,
town.
hey,
Let me get what
can-
Mom's
I
saying.
can probably
Hey,
say
Dad, can I get what Mom's saying? Because if
I'm sorry.
the mic will pick up everything and we won't be able to
Well,
understand.
he lived and worked around Clarksburg, but I don't know much about him, except he had red hair, and of course, he could drink. You know, most of the Linvilles could.
This is Hayes Linville, we're saying,
Yeah,
right?
Hayes.
All right, and then Halla, and you think Hayes was a relative?
Well, I'm sure he was a relative of my dad, but I don't know how close. But he was a relative, yeah.
Okay, he might have been a cousin or an uncle.
No, he-
Or an uncle, possibly.
I'm sorry.
An uncle of her.
I would think so.
That's
of
what was
my
her
dad.
first thought, was that it
Yeah.
was an uncle.
Maybe a great
Her
uncle, but he
dad.
was.
I got it, okay. Then Hala, John, Netta, and Nellie, you said you knew Nellie?
And Nellie, I don't know if she was blood related, but somehow in the back of my memory, I remember she was good to our family, but she was a big heavy-set blonde lady, kind of loud. And she had a little reputation, but she had a heart as big as her mouth. That's what I remember.
So she could have been a wife of, like
Yeah. Oh, excuse me,
that
say
might have
yeah.
been,
A wife or
possibly.
whatever, yeah.
right, but maybe not the blood relative, but
Yeah.
like an in-law,
Yeah, but
maybe.
she was
I
in the
think-
background, if I can remember.
I think we need a big light on Mom.
Now, so when do you, now, this was as you were growing up.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
time you were teenagers, were they still in the picture, or you think they were out of the picture by the time you
It
were?
was Red and Nellie and Clyde and all those are out of the picture. A lot of my uncles, half uncles you would call them, because they were my brother, my father's half brothers, they were dead too, and they died young. They're nice looking, real dark. Bob Linville reminds me, doesn't he, Tony, of my
Bob,
son?
wait, Bob.
Yeah, one of
Bill
your,
and Eugene.
one of your half brothers,
My
your dad's half brother.
half-brother looks a lot like those guys from Clarksburg.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, interesting. And Wilbur Linville, Edith Linville, Mary Linville, and Charles Linville. Any
No,
names there?
no.
No, not there. Okay, let's
I don't
ask.
care about those people.
Okay.
You mean you got all that stuff at Batesville Library?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing to me that, you know, that they weren't
There's that
living in
many.
town there someplace at one time, or in Ripley County anyway, you know.
Well, a lot of this is census stuff,
Yeah.
and then some of the stuff I'm getting, which I could get also in DC. But there are some things like the marriage, and I'm also somewhat new to this. You know, I'm still compared to a lot of people,
Well-
and I'm still learning what's available in DC. But I'm finding some things there, not as I expected in Batesville yesterday, that I don't easily find in
Oh,
DC,
no, yeah.
if at all in DC.
Okay.
So like the marriage yesterday.
So
Let's.
we need
Go ahead.
we need to show them where it says keeping house. We couldn't figure out. We should show them that handwriting and
They
see
might
if
be,
yeah,
they may be able to know what that
decipher
is. They might be able to see what that
These
means.
census are really
Should I
cool.
keep recording right
Yeah,
this
let's-
second, or are we gonna?
Let's go to
They
your
put down
dad.
What you're worth.
Okay,
like how much
thanks,
money
Mom.
and everything.
Well, that's
And they
good
got
to have
numbers
all
and
those
say
memories,
Brings
yeah.
back memories.
Well, and if there's
Colored,
anything else you
free
think of,
colored.
Well, most of,
Yeah.
and my dad's
I mean,
brothers
it's
were
like that's pretty
barbers.
interesting.
And-
Yeah,
most of them.
yeah.
And he was a barber, and he had two brothers, and they were barbers. That was his real brothers. And his father, Monty, had a little restaurant in Clarksburg. I remember going over and getting hamburgers, you know, from him, because I only saw the man about half a dozen times.
And what were the two brothers of Monty? Do you remember their names?
You mean my dad's brothers?
Yeah.
A Furman and
I,
a Guy, G-U-Y.
G-U-Y. And
Furman.
Furman, that's
G-U-Y?
unusual.
Oh,
Hey, look
Oh,
who's here.
Here, yeah, Furman, F-U-R-M-A-n, Furman.
I think that
And they were barbers, just
Linville
like my dad.
actually
Total British.
came from England.
I'm gonna,
Yeah.
So let's see. So tell me about Tracy.
Party
Well, Tricia is my will be 90-year-old aunt,
And she's
She
the one
just-
down here, you're down in the chart, she's Teresa, right?
Tricia Drummond.
Uh-huh, okay.
Want me to put some of that in
Her and
that?
one of her granddaughters just had Christmas at their house. They decorated the whole house and had a Christmas buffet, and she's gonna be 90 years old.
Okay, Dad, so now let's talk about, I had a couple questions here for, let me see here. We found we found John, so it's John Fred Stahley,
Yeah.
okay?
Somebody said Frank yesterday. I
But
thought
actually
it
it's Fred,
was- oh, that's what I thought.
yeah. And we found, I mean, that's what the records say, so I don't mean to sound so authoritative,
No,
but
oh,
you know.
Fred, that's what I said, and then
Oh,
somebody
okay.
yesterday said Frank.
I see, okay.
Fred is what I always thought.
Okay, okay. All right, then, now, Michael Stahley, we found some stuff out yesterday.
Is that
Yeah, we
my
found
dad's
out that he
father?
was, that was Fred Stahley's father,
Yeah,
and he was a farmer,
yeah.
and we found out that he was born in June 1851 in Indiana.
Yeah, that would be about right.
We got this from the 1900 census.
Oh.
I couldn't find him in the 1880 census.
No
He
kidding.
doesn't come up.
Oh,
Do you have, I couldn't find
well,
him.
maybe they didn't move there till they was married and stuff.
It's yeah, whatever. I didn't know if you'd have any insight on that as to why.
You see, I knew him, but I was like 4.5, 5 years old when he died.
Right.
Him and his wife died in 1925.
That's right. That's what it says here. Right? Exactly.
1925, and I was born in 1918.
Yeah, sure.
So I was going on 7, maybe.
Right. Now, and his wife was Maria
Yeah,
Miller,
that's right.
right? And we found out from the 1900 census that she was born in March of 1849.
18, yeah, she was a little bit older than him, just slightly.
And she also died in 1925.
That's right.
That's what it says on the
Yeah,
tombstone,
well, she
right?
fell and broke her hip and never got over it.
All right, okay, there you go. Now, we found out also from that census that they were married in 1871.
Yeah,
That kind of,
Well,
that would make sense, yeah.
about 20, 21 years old or whatever.
Yeah, so for some reason, I don't find them in the 1880 census. And
In Indiana?
Yeah.
Well, maybe they were married before they moved to Indiana.
well, but,
No.
but okay, well, I mean, could they be in another state? It looks, they were both born in Indiana.
Oh, they were?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
both say they were
Yeah.
born in Indiana.
Yeah, then-
So they probably didn't travel, especially if they got married in 71.
They stayed there.
So I just don't know where. Anyway,
See, my dad was born in 1877.
that's right, July
And
27th, right?
He had older sister and brother, like Joe Stahley was older than him. They both carried mail at the same time, but Joe was older than him. And I'm pretty sure that maybe that sister Lucinia, but I don't really know her regular name.
Now, there were two things that folks wanted me to ask you to, especially if we go out there tomorrow, is can you tell us where the location, and you said it was something like a log cabin that Michael Stahley lived in. Where is that located, and tell us something about
It's
his...
gone now.
Okay.
If we drive up that road past that house, I can show you about right where it was. And then they moved from there up to that other road, goes up through Pentown, up towards Sunman. But there's a whole bunch of buildings up there now.
I see.
Different buildings.
Can you be more specific where that was in location to you, where you grew up?
The log cabin?
Yeah.
Well, that was about, it could be a half a mile or a quarter of a mile.
Which direction? North, south, east,
That's
west?
the east. And it was on the, if you're going east, it was on the right-hand side, across, but back a little ways from that White House that's on the other side.
Okay, all right. And what do you remember about Michael Stahley? Especially if we go out there tomorrow, can you tell us where the location, and you said it was something like a log cabin that Michael Stahley lived in. Where is that located, and tell us something about
It's
his...
gone now.
Okay.
If we drive up that road past that house, I can show you about right where it was. And then they moved from there up to that other road, goes up through Pentown, up towards Sunman. But there's a whole bunch of buildings up there now.
I see.
Different buildings.
Can you be more specific where that was in location to you, where you grew up?
The log cabin?
Yeah.
Well, that was about, it could be a half a mile or a quarter of a mile.
Which direction? North, south, east,
That's
west?
the east. And it was on the, if you're going east, it was on the right-hand side, across, but back a little ways from that White House that's on the other side.
Okay, all right. And what do you remember about Michael Stahley?
He died. I was seeing him a couple times, and he died. I went up to see him when he was real sick. They said he wanted to see his grandchildren, you know. So we went up like one at a time, and I seen him, like I say, and he died in 1925. It might have been early, I don't know. And I was born in 1918, November, late in 1918. So you take 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. I wasn't going to school yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
When I seen him last. He was bedridden.
Now Maria Miller, that would be your grandmother, right?
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember about her?
She was a tall, striking looking lady.
Now she says that her father was from Germany and her mother was from France.
That's right, because remember I told you Elsa Lorraine and that?
Yeah.
And they all figured she was French, you know.
Now, and Michael Stahley says in the census, I'm saying all this from the various census that I do have, that his father was from Germany.
Yeah.
And that his mother was from Germany.
Yeah, I
Right.
believe that.
Do you know anything about them at all?
No, I just, I never really, at
No, I'm just-
5
yeah,
years,
yeah.
6 years old, I never really,
Never heard anything about where they lived or...
nothing was discussed about that somehow, you know what I mean?
Well, you're not alone. I mean, every family... I don't mean to press you.
No, but I mean, I think that probably my grandfather and my grandmother Miller and my grandfather Stahley came over here with their parents at a real young age or were born over here.
They say they were born here.
Here,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, Michael Stahley and Maria both say they were born here.
In Indiana.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, in Indiana. But you're probably right. They came over with them. Okay. Can I now jump to down to? I'm sorry. Let's go to the chart here for a second. Let's see. I got John Stahley and Helen Agnes Weber.
Yeah,
All right. Now that's Helen Agnes Weber is your mom, right?
that's right.
Okay, and she was. Tell us the story about her being out visiting out there.
She was born and grew up down on McMicken Avenue, just before that street goes down just above Brighton.
Okay, this is in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, and then she visited friends out there, and my dad carried mail from Sunman to New Elsa's, and he met her. I don't know if they just met that one summer, or if he met her later, or he met her that one summer and then decided, well, I want to go down and see her, see?
I see.
So then they got married.
And we have the information where they got married.
Yeah.
All that. Now, you told me that you thought so now her father was Peter Weber. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. And he run a store, right? He was a grocer, right?
As far as I know, he was a cop and an insurance salesman.
I wonder if we got the same.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe at one time his dad...
Well, here's that's interesting, but because
Where are we talking about here?
yeah,
Peter
because
Weber?
in 1880, I'll say this.
Yeah.
The Peter Weber that I find in the 1880 census
Yeah.
in Cincinnati
Yeah.
lived in Avondale. Would that make sense? And that he was a grocery clerk for Henry Weber, who ran a grocery store in Avondale.
Well, he may have, if that... If
He would have
that
been a
was-
young boy there,
Yeah,
right? He would have
He
been.
might have been working in a grocery store, but he was a Cincinnati policeman,
This is Peter, right?
Peter, and he also sold insurance.
Okay, all right.
And this Agnes Zeisser was his second wife. He had a couple children, three children from his first wife. But my mother is the daughter of Peter and Agnes Zeisner.
Okay, now, and in the I can't find any Zeisners in the 1880 census either. So,
Oh, I can take you over to St. Mary's Cemetery and show you the headstones.
are there other Zeisners there?
Yeah, that's where my mom and dad is buried in the same plot with them.
But there's other Zeisners, like she's with her parents?
No, her parents are just down around the corner. But the Zeisners had one lot open, two lots open when my mom and dad died. and that's where they got buried. And my grandmother's, some of her relatives had those Eisners.
Do you
Maybe
have,
her parents even.
so you don't happen to know the names of any of her parents, Agnes Eisner's parents?
Well, I could go over there and get them off the headstone, maybe.
Okay. But and again, where is those headstones?
St. Mary's Cemetery here in St. Bernard.
And that's where?
St. Bernard's over.
Where in Cincinnati, right?
Yeah.
Where in Cincinnati?
St. Bernard, which is, if you go over, I guess it's 7-8 miles
Okay.
east.
So the Eisners could be there, and we might very well find her parents there.
Yeah, or either some of his siblings, one or the other. Maybe her parents, actually, because that's an awful old headstone.
Is Eisner's, do we have it spelled right? Zeisner?
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, okay. No, I got you. Okay, so, well, now, if we got the same guy, the only Peter Weber that comes up in Cincinnati in 1880 and is spelled with a double B. Now, that wasn't uncommon, I think, for people to have it
I
as a
think
double B
so.
and then change it to a
Yeah,
single B.
I think so.
And then, if that's true, he said he was born in 1856. If this is our guy,
Yeah.
and he was born
Well,
in
it has to
1850.
be if he married just.
Well, I got that from Carmen. So I mean,
Oh,
see,
okay, all right.
see, because in 1880 they were both still single,
Yeah.
because they got married in after 1880, because he was single. Do you know when they got?
1880? Well, I don't know that they could because my mom was born in 1888.
Well, yeah. So they could have gotten married. What I'm saying is they got married
Yeah.
right after 1880, perhaps, but sometime after 1880,
Yeah, yeah.
because.
Well, see, they had other children that are older than she. She had
Oh.
a sister and two brothers that were siblings who were older than she was.
I see what you're saying. That she. Well, it's possible his
Yeah.
first wife could have, because it was 8 years.
Yeah.
It's possible he.
They could have had those four.
Yeah, but he was a single guy in 1880. He would have been. Let me look this. This Peter Weber was 24 in 1880. So that would have worked. It could have worked.
Could have.
He could have gotten married, his first wife, and then.
But
Anyway.
he had 3 children with his first wife. See?
Yeah, but still, he could have done that in 8 years.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, easily. Yeah.
If that's our guy, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the only Peter Weber I come up with
Yeah.
in Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah, well.
I don't know. And then he says that his father was a Henry Weber, who
Yeah,
was
that I wouldn't know at all.
right, and who was a grocery clerk.
Oh, Henry Weber was a grocery clerk.
No, Henry owned the store.
And his father, he worked for his,
His father
in
at
the
the
grocery
time,
store.
and then he
But-
might have become a cop, and then he go ahead.
and that very well could be. But as I knew him, the little time I knew him,
Right.
that he was a policeman, Cincinnati policeman, and he sold insurance on the side.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's a big help. That's a real big help. Okay. We're pretty clear then, I think, on the other things.
Well, they said only 7 children that my grandma and grandpa had.
Where now? Let's see.
Oh, I don't know, see it on here, but someplace.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
They had, I'm sure
Which
they had
grandpa are we talking about? I'm sorry.
Michael,
Michael Stahley.
yeah,
Did you know his
my
middle name?
grandpa.
Did you remember his middle name? Michael Stahley's middle name?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Michael Stahley, and they had 8 children, 5 girls, and 3 boys. And somebody said here that they only counted 7 someplace.
Well, that was in the 1900 census, so they might have had then 2 more after 1900, right? Wait a minute, I need to
I
check
don't-
that.
I don't
Let's
know.
take a look here. I have it right in front of me.
Oh.
Staley's have one. They have Joseph, John, Susan, Rosa, Michael, Clara. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 6 by 1900.
Oh, well, did they have Michael down there by 1900? He was
Well,
the
oh, you know
youngest.
what? It has 8 kids. No, you know what? You're right. It has 8 kids listed and 8 still living. 2 left the house.
Yeah, oh yeah, they went to
Oh,
be
yeah.
nuns.
1900 would have been older in their years.
They
Right.
they went to be nuns, sisters.
Who went to be nuns?
Well, two of them went to be sisters or nuns.
What were their names?
Sister Lucinia and Sister Didica. Now, I don't know, but I can tell you that Sister Mary and Susan moved to Cincinnati and opened up like a little bakery and pastry shop in Delhi, down in Delhi. So there was 4 of them actually left. I don't know if it was before that or after that. If they only got the 2 there that left to go to Cincinnati, or if 2 of them left to go to the convent.
Excellent. And what, were they older, or where do they fit in the 8?
The Sister Lucinia was older than my dad. The other one was younger than my dad. And Mary and Susan were younger than my dad. So my dad was about 3rd in there. Joseph was probably the oldest. And Sister Lucinia, I don't know her maiden name or her given name. And then like my dad, and then like I think maybe I got Sister Lucinia in there. Then, but Rose and Michael were down near the bottom of the age group. So Susan and Mary would have been younger than my dad. And Michael was the youngest. Michael.
Oh no, wait. There's a Clara.
Clara. Oh, that was Sister Lucinia's name.
Ah. Okay.
Clara was. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I get it. Okay.
They gave the names. What did they give the other?
Well, we've got
The older
the oldest.
sister. The oldest.
So we've got, reading from the top, we've got Joseph, John, Susan, Rosa, Michael, and Clara. Now that's 6 kids in 1900, but we're missing 2.
Well, one of them was a girl that went to the convent.
Okay. She's not in here.
And let's see, do you have Susan and Mary
I do.
and Rose?
No, I don't have Mary. Mary is the wife. I marry as a wife. But I don't.
Susan and Mary are the ones come down to Cincinnati and opened up that bakery.
Well, it must have been a daughter, because there's not a daughter Mary listed in 1900.
Well, then she might have been young. No, she was older than that, because primarily when I was born in 1918, they'd been gone for quite a while.
And again, this is 1900.
1900. Oh, okay.
So 2 of them aren't on this list.
Well, Michael and
Michael is here. Michael's here.
he was the youngest.
Well, it could be. Actually, Clara looks like she's the youngest.
Could be, but
Well, you know what? They have them out of order. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
No, they don't have it out of order.
Oh, they don't?
No, he's older.
Michael was the youngest, I'm pretty sure, though.
Well,
Clara?
There's a Clara here who was born in 1894. She's a good 5 years older than Michael.
Oh, is that right?
At least in the census.
Oh, well, then
5 years older.
she was probably Sister Lucinia. That would be the one.
Okay. And then Sister Didica was.
Yeah, I don't really know what her name was before. She was up there. I believe she was after Joseph, and before my dad. I think she was older,
Okay. Well, that answers a lot. Now, we were looking a lot at the maps of where these people were coming from in Bavaria, in Baden, in Prussia,
that was Charlotte's.
Well, also your side.
Oh, is that right?
I mean, with a lot of the, we see it throughout the genealogy.
Yeah, because the Webers are from Bavaria. We don't have to do this.
All right. Well, no,
Yeah, but
Look at this cool
supposedly
We got
this
the maps last night.
this
Where all these people, Prussia and.
this Peter Weber, before he come over here, lived in Berlin, from what I heard.
Is that what it says on there?
No, I don't know.
the Peter Weber. You see,
Supposedly
It says
lived-
born
if that's our Peter Weber, that's the question.
It says born in Kentucky.
Well, it's the only Peter Weber that we come up
Maybe
with.
his dad, maybe they brought him over. It
It
was
was born in Berlin.
and was one of the Webers. His forebears. One of his forebears was like, we got a city council here. Was on the city council in Berlin.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
I don't know where it's at now, but I had a revolver brought back from the Second World War, and it had a Weber on, and
I remember you talking about that.
yeah,
Where's that now? What'd you do with that gun?
That German Luger.
it was a Schonensaar gun that was brought back, and I often wondered, this guy's name on there was Weber, and he lived in Berlin, and then my great-great-grandfather or something lived in Berlin.
That must have been something being just a couple generations removed, having to go back. So many,
That is.
there are so many Germans, immigrants who came to this area.
Oh, sure. But I'm just saying what I heard talked about when I was.
No. David, do you have access to international stuff or no?
Yeah, I can theoretically, and especially, but with your knowing German, we may be relying on. But yes, on the Mormon site they do.
It says they do international.
They do international. They ask what country.
Oh, that's pretty cool, Daddy. Could look that up.
Yeah.
When you were in the Second World War, what parts of Germany did you get into?
Well, just over through Alsace-Lorraine, a ways, like 25, 30 miles beyond Alsace-Lorraine, which I don't know who thought they owned it at that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But as far as naming the town, supposedly it started with a W. The town seemed like me it was, but see, the Germans didn't leave their when they left town or something. They didn't keep them marked so you knew where you was at.
Right.
Oh,
You know.
really? They would.
Well, they wouldn't do it. No, they wouldn't. But I remember we went pretty far into Germany before I was wounded. That time we took a bunch of little towns and stuff, and
This would be northwest Germany. Northwest.
no, it wouldn't be over north that much.
West.
And it would have been coming in
Yeah, west. Yeah.
west, right. Now, what river was it that you guys were trapped at for, you thought you were going for one day, but then it actually turned out to be almost like 7 days, was it?
That was the Moselle River, and we went across there in the canoes. We were the 10th Infantry, and the 11th Infantry went across the day before, and the only ones of them got back was swam back across the Moselle. We went in a canoe, and me and another guy was the last one to get in the back end of one of the canoes, and it got stuck on the edge of there, and they said, well, get out and shove that. So we shoved it, and the canoe left, and we had to grab a hold of it. Well, that was in December. Well, it might have been late November. Might have been late November.
What year again? 44?
Yeah.
How wide is the Moselle? I thought it was like a half a mile wide.
Well, it's not just exactly that wide.
Oh, it was pretty big.
And then
Well,
you guys
yeah,
got stuck
yeah,
over there,
you know.
right? Did she know?
Well, we were
Because
over
I
there
heard some story about when she
in the
saw you
6th
across
day,
the
we
street.
had
Well,
to
she
ration that I was coming back, but she didn't know exactly
How'd you get out?
what day and whatever. The tanks came through, you know. I
That's
got a ride from Camp Adel. Every morning we would get happened to get, every time she would get that little bit of money from drive us back out of Germany. You know, we held them off. Wife and Shirley paid children, depending outfit I was in. She'd take the kids over three days and find out 3 times as much as what they were all right. And she was over there. But I'm not bragging about it, but I know I got more of them than they
She
got
didn't
me.
go
I was only
because
3 times.
she seen me.
But only once.
Oh, but they didn't
once
need to go
in
to the
Germany.
doctor anyway.
No,
What was the other
She
time?
always-
France, twice in France, once in anyway. Yeah.
Oh, but yeah.
But she knew I was the Moselle River. She actually,
But she
we
knew
was
you-
probably in. No, she didn't know I was town. I got a bus ride. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because that does go through, right.
From Camp
Was that
Albury.
the back or the foot? That's incredible. On this canoe trip.
See, I spent from when I got across there. They put a December the
Over the
10th.
head.
They put a 30 caliber right through my helmet, and it just cut a little groove there about from December the 10th 2 inches long, and come out the back
And where was that again?
over the Moselle River.
So at
That's
that during those
November
6
there.
days? Or was that after the
November-
6 days?
No, that was about 3 days before.
Which-
I was
what-
with-
what-
England?
England?
I spent that 11 months in England. We finally held them off. Well, because see, every time you would try to put tanks across there. Yeah, but the people with the most points are pretty, they didn't have the shipping, and the people that had to be shipped home or had to be. Bridges down. And finally, the supplies were still coming in until what was about the 6th day over there. And after the war was over there, then they started packing stuff and we got over to the phone.
Right, I don't know what
To Asia, you know, the Far East.
Oh,
back
that's
then,
true.
you could hear them talking. So they didn't have transportation. Well, as far as I was concerned, when they put me on a little boat, they still didn't have. So then they said, well, get in your
Well, Dad, they
foxhole.
didn't ask you if you wanted to go to the Far East, did
Because
they?
our
Did
tanks
they
are gonna
ask
shove.
you?
No, well, see, I was wounded 3 times and I had enough points. Shoulder to shoulder. Married and had kids and service connected disabilities and all that added up and I had so many points, they wouldn't send me over there anyway. Like this is the
Okay.
foxhole. This
But
that
they,
long
some
there.
people
He
did,
was
did
laying here and
anybody
I was
go
laying here.
over there?
And the shell come in there and it killed him. Well, Shirley went over there. The whole outfit went over. The whole outfit except a few that were, that had enough points to come out. And not go over there. They went over there and almost before the war. Before that was this is 3 days later over there. That's a
Oh, I
long
didn't know
trip.
that. This is your
Yeah.
back then.
No.
I need that
But
left,
it's
Grandma.
third, second and third degree
Yeah,
powder
I'm sorry.
for that
Thank you.
shell exploded. This
There you
is
go.
but anyhow,
We're about to
killed
run
him
out of
out.
tape on this one.
Yeah, well, that shoulder was touching it. And we never figured who might have some, what side of other little things, if you wanna know. Foxhole, you know. I really didn't. Knocked out. You kids didn't hear all this.
I know, and that's why I
Blood
wanted to
all
get
over
it down,
there.
but then I.
Just coming
you're
out
It's
there.
great to have it on tape.
Nose and
Thank you very
Yeah,
much
that's
for
why
sharing.
I wasn't bleeding
Thanks for
except
sharing.
here.
Yeah,
I mean,
little
I just didn't
pieces
really
of
want to
it.
talk about it.
Yeah, but at
Yeah.
first it
Well,
you
also,
could have
right.
thought, man, what am I missing?
Well, I can see.
Well, that's right, I did. I didn't know what part of my rear end I was missing or how much I.
Well, if it,
The Great War.
So that was the second time I was wounded in 3 days.
this, I didn't know it was
Pretty
that
intense.
fast. So they didn't send you out for that. They just
And
said, hey,
where-
put a
They
Band-Aid on
they sent
it.
me back to the medics and they said, oh,
Yeah,
well, I
because
got
there
that
are
band.
avian
And they parted the hair and shaved a little
diseases
bit
that
and put a
might
Band-Aid
take
on and said, go get them.
Well, actually,
So
yeah,
where
because the swine flu is
you got
actually.
exactly where that was.
Yeah, this, yeah.
And then
I did wanna
the
take
last
a
time I was
second
wounded,
and
we
digress
were
for a
over
second,
into
Grandma.
Germany.
Is,
and we had like
Mom,
one
I
part,
should
one end of the town and that other building.
was the Westrix.
company, you could
What we've
name it.
got
They had
is
rations
the
in
Westrix.
back.
Does that name, did you know anything about the Westrix?
Tony's take a couple
Okay.
guys with you, so get some rations, because we're gonna move out.
Well, what I've got here, I got to the William Tacaldi, okay? All right.
Walked up there, there
And
was 3 of us, and
then,
went in, the basement,
honey, you
back
want to shoot
door,
this?
and then
Sorry,
went up
I'm
the
having
first
trouble.
door, went out
Sorry.
the back door,
I think I'm recording now, right?
like that, in a well. Yep, right in back
Okay,
of
one
that
thing I've been working
back
on
door,
is,
they had a concrete slab there. And in back of that.
so you go from
And right
Christine
at the edge of that
Margaret
big concrete
Tacaldi,
slab,
right?
Yes,
a
my,
great big
And then
bank went
William
almost straight
Tacaldi.
up.
Does that make sense? Right?
Yes.
Okay,
That took
William,
about-
and he was married to Margaret Grossman.
that's right.
That works, okay, we got
That's
that.
my grandparents.
All right. Then, did you know any further back, did you know Philippina Schneider?
When I heard that,
and-
I just
Okay, well,
turned
it turned,
around.
we know that Margaret Grossman's
Dive back in the
father
door.
was Frank or Francis
Here,
Grossman.
cut
And
those
Carmen,
two bones
your
off,
daughter knows, had some
and
of
the other
this
piece of
information.
shrapnel.
But the
got
census also confirms
there,
the
yeah.
various census.
Missed my spine
He married
by less than
Philippina
an inch
Schneider.
and went in under my shoulder.
Now, the name of Schneider is really very common.
So,
Yeah.
I really
You know,
know.
doesn't
Almost
ring
everybody
it,
knows
yeah.
by the name of Schneider.
well, you
It
heard
does
the
not ring
whistle.
in Filipina, does
It
it?
was probably in
Then,
'88.
did you know
because it was a
Francis
straight projectile.
and Joseph
Oh,
Grossman?
yes, this
See,
was
most of
my
ours,
grandma's
we lost it
brother.
over time, and they exploded
Her only
like
brother.
over an area.
Uncle
That would
Frank
have been
Grossman.
actually, it would have been, it would have
They're
been,
88.
actually her father, it could have been another Frank. You're
They
thinking he
exploded
probably had a
like
Frank Jr.
compound.
I have to check the record. Okay, so that Margaret Grossman
Oh, no,
Your
88,
grandma,
they,
right?
they must have shot that
Was
from
her
from a half
father
a
was
mile
Frank
to a mile,
Grossman.
maybe longer further
Father
that
was
away.
and her
What is it?
mother
Is
was
it like a
Philippine
rifle?
Schneider. We figured that out.
88 caliber.
Well,
Yeah.
it could, yeah, that's,
And we've taken it back even further,
So that's
and that
That's like.
This Frank had a brother,
I
twin
mean, like
brother
a
named
little,
Joseph.
right, 22 and 88, so.
88 millimeter.
And
And
now
that's a straight
he died
projectile.
in 1910
and
in
when
Cincinnati.
it
So he
hits
came
something,
from
it explodes.
the
That's almost 3
from
inches.
the Adams Township area.
Oh, yeah, at
Now,
least
you
3
mean,
inches.
You tell an interesting story about what happened next, about how they,
no, wasn't her brother?
was it a patrol or?
Oh, yeah, they said
They had to move
this
on.
would have
and
been
they
your
left me behind.
great-grandfather.
Yeah, but one guy stayed with me.
Is that
Was there a guy
right?
that
Does that ring a
volunteered, Or
bell?
was that the? or
Well, the
is-
only Frank
No, the
person that I
guy
know about
volunteered me
is
was back the other
my
end where I came
grandma's
up here from.
brother.
And
that
when I
would-
was
That would
wounded,
make
see, they
sense,
said,
though,
well, we're gonna
since
have to let
he
you
would be named probably after.
Real fast.
With your foot?
Yeah, so it makes sense that
In
he
the
would
back,
have
they said,
named,
well,
they
we're
would have
gonna
named
have to pull out, you
a
know.
son
I said,
after
well,
the
give
father.
me my rifle, because there were 6 Germans lived in that house, and I didn't know if they was friendly or not. And that one woman did keep saying, big, tall, blonde woman kept saying, get a doctor, get a doctor. Well, where are you
Does
gonna
that
get
have
a
to do with?
doctor? You know, and I don't know if she was, but anyhow, I said, leave that rifle.
That's funny.
with
What
me."
did he look like? Do you
And,
remember it
well,
all?
I didn't tell. Anyway,
Oh, I have him right
so
here in the,
that one guy says,
wait a minute,
okay,
Frank?
I'm
Yeah, I
gonna
see
stay
Frank.
here.
In
have a couple
18,
people
in the
close to
1900
and I'll stay
census,
with you till they come back.
he was born, he says he was born in
Well, no, he
1890.
was a lieutenant. Well, I don't think he was captain that, but that would be in charge of all
But it was a
company.
Frank
He was
Jr.,
a lieutenant
yeah.
in charge of our platoon.
Okay, yeah, he was a
Anyway.
son of Frank and
It was in the
Phil
afternoon when
Heath.
I got hurt.
And we figured out,
And this was
with the
in
help of
December.
Carmen and the
Didn't take
various
long for it to start.
censuses,
So he said, I'll
that
stay
we
here
went
and
even
we'll get
further back,
people up here to
that
take you
your
out. So
great,
2 guys come up with a Jeep and they
that your
put me on
great
stretchers,
great-grandparents
put me on a stretcher,
were,
and
so
he
it's two
carried me
greats
out,
for
and you
you.
know how the Jeep
Was a
things
TC
fold down and it laid me
Grossman.
across the back there.
who was from Baden,
Okay,
who was
let's go.
born in Baden, Germany.
Did anybody ever
Anyhow,
talk about that at all?
They start driving.
And he
maybe,
was,
wasn't
his wife was
very
Barbara.
quarter of a
I have
mile or
them
so.
in the
And there was a fork in the
1860
road.
census.
And they said, which road did we come
And
in?
down here,
Definitely they
and
were
going,
German, I know
They
that.
said, did
And
we
the
come in this
Schneiders-
road or that road?
Philippina
That you
Schneider,
could go back. And they said, well, I think it
her
was this.
dad was a Philip
And they both
Schneider from
agreed, they
Prussia.
both agreed that, well, it was
And
probably
his
this
wife was
road.
Louisa
Well,
from
I
Prussia.
didn't come
And
in
they were
with them.
born in 1812 and
So they
1817.
finally agreed that it was that one
Remember
road, and we did
Filipino?
go on
What a
out.
strange name.
It is,
took-
well, it's because there was a Philip was the
No,
father,
but-
that's what we think.
We got it on
Strange
tape.
name.
I think she
So
was his
anyhow, then they
firstborn.
took me back.
Right.
Big lady.
I remember
You
that.
did know.
I remember vaguely, she wasn't a very friendly grandma, I'll tell you that.
What could I do?
Oh, you remember Filipino
Yeah, I
now?
remember my grandmother's mother.
This?
That's your
Well,
great
Filipina?
Yeah,
Yeah,
she
I'm
does
gonna
it
pause
for
a
him.
second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Oh,
pause
you
a
do
second.
know.
What did she
There are
look
other
like?
wars and stuff. I never really discussed it with hardly anybody until recently, you know, because, well, I did tell them a few stories, you know.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
It's understandable. And
If we lost a needle, we would all get a spanking, she said, but we still.
it's admirable. What can we say?
Man, I just,
You guys were part of the greatest
what'd you call
generation.
her?
Well,
Great grandmother, yeah.
I don't know about that, but I mean,
No, they
we did
wouldn't.
have to sacrifice. I had 2 brothers in the service too.
No, just put the chair on the floor.
No, I just thought that was a strange name. Poor mom. It is strange.
For that age, for being German.
Yeah, well, my brother was
Now,
in the
Mom, do
CB
you,
and he was down.
who spoke
posted down
German
there.
among your who's starting
As a
where?
machinist,
Who?
Bud. And Vincent was over in Africa, Italy, and eventually in the southern France. He drove like a ordinary or a truck that they brought supplies up with and stuff.
Oh, really?
Vincent did. See, he was older. I went in, I was 25 when I went in. I had 2 kids.
Yes.
That's why they kept it in the family.
When they've taken the. She was called, I remember.
That's
grandma-
interesting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she would say, she was talking about some either.
Well, there was 14 million
So they kept
14
it going
million
for several
Americans.
generations.
Oh, yeah.
drafted and in the armed services over that period of time.
Can I take you back
And
to Kobe's for a second?
Over,
Going back down
over
the line
400,000, more than
this
400,000,
would
a
be-
little over 400,000
You could write a
But at
novel.
least we're related to
killed.
that really good picture, we think.
Americans.
Well, we are, just.
And over 78,000
Ken?
to this day,
No,
78,000
well,
are
my
still
research
missing.
is showing so far is that
And we went into
you go
Germany and
from
went into Japan and
your
stuff. Now
mom
we're-
was,
you know.
I'm sorry, your grandmother was
Well, they
Christine
were-
Margaret Jacoby, right?
Well, they were killed
Her
someplace
mom
and they never got
And
their
father,
dog tags.
her father was William Jacoby, the
I
husband
don't
of
think
Margaret
they
Grossman,
captured
right?
that many and
Okay,
kept them, you know.
so now,
They did some, maybe.
what can you tell us about
German,
him? William
Well,
Jacoby.
he,
I wouldn't put it against the
he
Russians
must have
either.
came from a wealthy
I
family.
think that was 50.
Excuse me, all his sons
14 million
got the
people,
big pieces of property.
14 million
Grandpa, one got a farm,
Americans.
one got.
That was probably they started CBs and the waves and all that stuff. 14 million, but I don't think many of the women were killed at that time.
He never
But
did anything.
over 400,000 Americans were killed in the Second World War.
Got a job in
And
lumber
over
yard.
78,000
Just stack of
are still today MIA.
I have
No idea.
It's, you know,
Remember him at all. Maybe Vietnam, you talk, that's 40.
He's a good looking guy.
Yeah?
oh yeah.
Curly hair.
Mom's a visual person, that's okay.
It's hard for me to, when I say that, it's just hard for me to say 400,000.
Oh, okay, Dave, how much more do we have?
Just a little more.
Because Sandy wanted to see Mom and Dad a little before she left.
Yeah.
We found out through the very, what I've got before then is John Henry.
Yeah, how do you
behind
compare
me,
what
called
the
me,
reaction of the
who
country
was
to
born in 1833 in
9/11
Hey,
Prussia?
to what Pearl Harbor?
Okay, and he died in
Well,
1860. No, he
9/11
was married
was,
to a Mary Ann Westrick, is what I
9/11
have.
was more,
In-
because they
in
attacked us on
1860.
continental
And I
United
have Mary
States.
Ann Westrick
And there was a lot of
being
people
born in
killed,
Ohio in
4,000 or whatever.
1842.
3,000.
And I don't know if any of
And
that.
There were not that
That
many
comes from the,
people
I believe
killed
it's
in
the
Pearl Harbor, and
Mormon
that was
FamilySearch.org that gave me
a
that.
foreign
And
island,
so
which
was
was,
trying-
one of our territories or
And then,
whatever at the time.
And I do
And,
have her, I do have a
few
Mary Ann
hundred,
Jacoby
they still say
in the
there's
1880
a few hundred.
census. So these were.
thousand.
now
and-
Mary Ann, that name seems
There
familiar.
was,
Was
I don't know
England?
how many was killed down there, but I don't think there's much over 1,000. But what
Now,
that
it
Pearl
wasn't,
Harbor
who was named
bombing
Mary
led
Ann
to
though? There was somebody that,
was the Second World War, right, for the Americans. So when you want to
she-
talk about the impact
the
right now on
colonies,
the
though,
whole
were
land,
related words
Trade
to
Center was a
T.
big-
They weren't blood.
if you want to say everything that happened because of Pearl Harbor,
Well,
over an
here's my
extended
dilemma,
time,
Mom,
well, I
is-
think you'd have to say
is
with Pearl Harbor, at this time, I don't know how
1880
many wars we're
census,
going to get into now on
John
account of
and
the
Mary
Trade
Ann
Center,
are there,
you
okay?
know. Bob.
And William is there, who is your
No.
grandfather, right? William's your
I had an uncle
grandfather.
in the
He was their
tank
son, he was.
Corps in Germany, so he might have been in those tanks
And this, he was.
passing over. He was in the Battle of the
He
Bulge.
says that
Oh,
Mom.
no, I never
his
got up
father
that far.
was-
See, I
he
was knocked out
says-
on the 6th
I'm
and
sorry,
that happened
if I
on the
take John
16th.
Jacoby then.
And I was
John
over in
Jacoby,
England on by the
your
10th.
great
I
grandfather,
see.
right?
Tell us about your
John Jacoby
coming
is
back
I'm sorry, is your
after you were
great
discharged,
grandfather.
or
This John
when you were
Jacoby
sent back.
is your great grandfather, right?
After you recovered.
He says.
Oh, you
that
mean after I
he was,
recovered? Well, I was in the MPs, I
born
was
in
in Dock
Prussia.
Patrol, I was in,
He says his father was
Ordnance.
born
I
in
went to
Prussia,
Ordnance
and then his
first,
mother
Army
was born in
Ordnance.
Prussia.
And we
So
did,
that's why question marks.
we,
here. At least I put down. there.
repaired and made parts for
And his
airplanes
wife,
and tanks
Mary
and
Ann
Jeeps
Jacoby,
and stuff
who I
like that.
had down as Mary Ann Westrick,
And then after
says
that outfit
her,
was gonna
she was
leave
born
and
in
go
Ohio in
to the, after the German war was over, and they
she
were gonna
says
leave and
that
go over to the
her
Far
mom and
East.
her dad
I had
were
too
born
many
in
points that
Prussia.
they wouldn't send
Now,
me
if I
over,
do a
and I was
search
wounded 3 times, and
on the 1880
so they wouldn't send me over. So then they put me in
For
the
all those
MPs,
conditions,
and I was in there, and then he
finding other
pulled me off duty
Westricks
down at
who could
Southampton
have
too.
been,
Anyway.
who could have been
Anyway.
parents who were both born in
The
Prussia.
Europa, Queen
et cetera, et
Elizabeth,
cetera.
Queen Mary were the only ships that
What the only
dock
one
in
in the
in
whole United
Southampton
States that I
was
come
pulled
up
right up to the dock.
that matches.
And New
I don't
York
know if
and
this
Sydney,
makes
Australia.
Any sense to you whatsoever?
So I was down there for, I don't know
is
how long it
A
was,
Mary Westrick
month, I don't
who
know, after I
is
got
in Ottawa,
done with the other stuff, I was
Ottawa,
down there for a month or
in the
so.
town of Ottawa, in the county of
And see, I got
Putnam,
out of
Ohio,
hospital like in
who was a
March
widow
or April, and
in
then I
1880.
went to the ordinance for
She
several months, and when the
she
war
fits
was
the
over
age,
over
you know,
there,
all
they
those conditions that I
got practiced.
mentioned.
And then,
And
running MPs
so
and-
I don't know, does
And,
anything
It really,
Anyhow,
through there?
when I was on doctor, that's the last thing I was on.
Ottawa, Putnam
Down in
County,
Southampton.
Ohio.
in Western.
And
I know
the
this.
Queen
And I'm
Elizabeth
sure
come
even
in,
though
and they didn't
I
say
have
anything. The
here
Queen
is
Elizabeth come in,
RICK.
and Aquitania come in,
I bet it's
and they
safe. I
left, and
haven't
we were
seen
still on
CK
doctor.
anywhere else and in all the
Most,
census.
they may have 2 or 3 times these ships come in there, I don't know, but
Now,
anyhow,
there was
big
a-
ships come in there.
Doesn't ring a bell.
And they didn't say anything, and all at once Queen Mary pulled in
So,
there.
all right, well, we'll just keep searching on that.
About 2
Okay.
days later,
there was
time to get
there was a
everybody on the road and start
Bernhard
to pack up.
Westrick who I thought might have been. who
About
ran
2
a
days
general
later,
store.
after that Queen
2 days
Mary
ago.
pulled in there,
Or in
we're
Morris,
pulling
I'm sorry,
doctor
in
in
Morris.
at
Does that
Southampton
ring a bell at all?
for
No.
watching
Who I
the
thought
Queen
might have
Mary
been
and
an
all the
uncle or
others.
something.
Hospital, Morris, and
The guy who was in charge of our little
But
camp
that
outfit
doesn't ring a bell, or Bernard.
they told us we was in the Air
But
Force.
it doesn't,
then,
that one
just to
doesn't
get
work
you in groups.
because his wife
Who was
was
gonna
from
go home with
Pennsylvania.
who or whatever.
And she says that her
Anyhow,
mom was from.
he says, well, I got good news for you guys.
And I mean, there's other.
You're shipping out.
Anyway, we're
And
working
boy,
on
I
various.
thought, oh
theories.
man, I walked down there and you can walk right from the dock right on to the
Doesn't
Queen
ring a
Mary.
bell. Okay, well,
He says
and that's
you're
the
shipping
thing
out
with the Mormon
San
site,
Quentin
with the familysearch.org.
Barry Wales.
Yeah,
They're big on that.
And that thing
they
was
have
one of
their
these
material, a lot of
Kaiser
material
things.
online,
and-
with the
What do you
internet
mean a Kaiser?
that allows.
Well, they just
searching
rolled
lot,
this
but
Kaiser outfit.
you
He
can't-
made a whole
you
bunch
always
of these
have to
little bitty
confirm
cargo
the
ships.
information, 'cause
You know.
Kaiser, are you talking about a German?
They're getting into
No,
other.
no, it was an American.
Oh,
They
okay.
made a Kaiser automobile over there too.
No.
But they were, I think we had 55 on there, is all we had.
The Mormons have that.
Because, you know,
Believe that your ancestors.
well, we're sleeping hammocks
Oh, I'm
between
sorry.
these.
Now we're rolling.
They had these
Where'd you guys
uprights,
meet
you
and
know,
then take us
that
up to?
welded together, this boat and held it
Someone
together.
fell.
Well, my mom said I should have
And
danced.
we were in these hammocks, you know.
We were at Oldenburg.
That's what we slept in, the hammock just tied between them.
Later, he asked me to
And-
dance at a dance at the park.
We was in that storm for about 2 days and they didn't even run the rudder. They didn't even run the thing. And all went down there, I was over in the corner quite a ways. But there's a couple there that were pretty close in there. And that boat was going up and come halfway down and another wave would hit it and it would just like shake, you know. And plunk, one of those uprights just fell out.
And you're thinking,
We went over in 5.5 days on Queen Elizabeth. That's all the way over to Glasgow. And it took us 11 days to get back.
You survived European theater, and you're probably wondering if you were going to survive this
Oh,
trip.
that ship coming back, you're right.
oh man, I remember that.
Did Mom know you were coming back?
Well, yeah, you know.
Did she know? Because I heard some story about when she saw you across the street.
Well,
that was-
she knew that I was coming back, but she didn't know exactly what day and whatever, and, you know. I got a ride from Camp Attlebury over there. She happened to get, every time she would get that little bit of money from what's the, you know, the wife and children, dependents,
whatever.
she'd take the kids over to the doctor, find out that they were all right. And she was over there, but then she didn't go because she seen me.
Oh, but they didn't need to go to the doctor anyway.
No.
She always took on.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'd
But
say
she knew I
probably-
was. She knew I was in the States, and
But she didn't know you were in town. But that's
no,
like-
she didn't know I was in town. I got a bus ride or whatever it was back from Camp Attlebury.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
See, I spent from December the 10th, but I spent like 3.5, 4 months in the hospital. From December the 10th one year in 1944 till November 45. See,
Which,
All that time in England?
England?
I spent that 11 months in England. Yeah.
Oh, why they wouldn't? When
Well,
was the
because-
war over? War was over in June. No.
Yeah, but the people with the most points are
Oh,
pretty.
I
They
see.
didn't have the shipping,
Right,
and the
right,
people
okay,
that
okay.
had to be shipped home or had to be and the supplies were still coming in until
Right,
the
right.
war was over there. And after the war was over there, then they started packing stuff up and taking it over
Right, I don't know what's his
to
name.
Asia, you know, the Far East.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
So they didn't have transportation. Well, as far as I was concerned, when they put me on a little boat, they still didn't have transportation.
Well, Dad, they didn't ask you if you wanted to go to the Far East, did they? Did they ask people?
No, well, see, I was wounded 3 times and I had enough points. If you were married and had kids and service-connected disabilities and all that added up, and I had so many points, they wouldn't send me over there anyway.
Right, okay. But some people did. Did anybody go over there from England?
Well, sure they went over there. The whole outfit went over. The whole outfit, except a few that had enough points to come home and not go over there. They went over there, and almost before the war, almost before they got over there. That's a long trip.
I need that light, Grandma.
Oh,
Grandma,
well,
I need that light.
Oh, you need it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I thought it was,
There you go.
But anyhow,
We're about to run out of tape on this one.
yeah. Well, why don't you? That's about all I got. You know,
But
I might
okay.
have some other little things if you want to know about. But
Listen,
I really didn't. You kids didn't hear all this when you.
I didn't, I know, that's why we wanted to get it down, but then I.
it's
Kurt
great. We
came
have it on
over to
tape.
show, right?
Thank you very much for
Yeah, that's the
sharing.
reason to get it on tape.
Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing.
well,
Because
I
I've
mean,
heard little
I just didn't
pieces
really
of
want
it.
to talk about it.
Yeah, well, also, right. Well, I can see why. You know, this was the formative, the Great War, as they call it.
Oh yeah. Chickens.
I kind of
Yeah,
wondered why you
because
raised
there are
babies.
avian
Huh?
diseases that might take out all the chickens, but then you would have the.
Well, actually, yeah, because the swine flu is actually,
I did want to take a
birds can get the
second
swine flu.
and digress for a second, Grandma. Is
And they raised
Mom, I
corn,
should say.
and they raised wheat, and they raised hay. So it's
was the
come up, we're
Westrix.
almost gone. You could
What we've
struggle
got
through with the rest of it.
is
Westrix, you know?
the Westrix. Does that name? Did you know anything about the Westrix?
No, I know people that
Okay.
live here in Cincinnati, but they are no relations, never,
Well, what I've got here, I got to the William to Culvey, okay?
yeah.
All right. And then, honey, you want to shoot this? Sorry, I'm having
Yeah,
trouble.
okay.
Sorry. I think I'm recording there, right?
Yep.
Okay, one thing I've been working on is, you go from
195.
Christine Margaret to Colby,
195.
right?
Yes, my,
And then William to Colby. Does that make sense?
He's up
Right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
William, and he was married to Margaret Grossman.
that's right.
That works, okay, we got that.
That's my grandparents.
All right. Then, did you know any further back, did you know of Philippina Schneider?
No.
Philippina, okay, well, we know that Margaret Grossman's father was Frank or Francis Grossman. And Carmen, your daughter had some of this information, but the census also confirms the various census.
Yeah.
He married a Philippina Schneider.
Now, the name of Schneider is really very
Doesn't-
common name.
Yeah.
I really, you know,
Doesn't
almost
ring-
everybody knows
yeah.
by the name of Schneider.
And-
But it's not ringing in Filipina, does it?
Okay. Then, did you know that Francis and Joseph
Oh, no,
Grossman?
oh, yes, this was my grandma's brother.
did-
Yeah, her only brother, Uncle
That
Frank
would have
Grossman.
been actually, it would have been, actually her father, could have been another Frank. You're thinking he probably had a Frank Jr. I have to
Yeah,
check
he
the
had
record.
Frank Jr.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that Margaret Grossman, your grandmother, right,
Was a brother.
was, her father was Frank Grossman. Her
Yeah.
father was Frank Grossman.
Yeah.
And her mother was Philippina Schneider. We figured that out.
Oh, well, it
Yeah.
could, yeah, that's,
And we've taken it back even further in that this Frank had a brother, twin brother named Joseph Grossman. And
I never knew that.
now he died in 1910 in Cincinnati. So he came from the Adams Township area.
Well, now, you mean, that was my grandma's, that wasn't her brother, that was her uncle?
No, this would have been your great grandfather.
Yeah, oh, I see.
Is that right? Does that ring a bell?
Well, the only
Great
Frank Grossman that I'm aware of is my grandma's brother.
Well, that would work.
Well, that would make sense,
That would make
because then
sense.
he would be named
I'd have to
probably
look that up
after.
real fast too to see.
Yeah, so it makes sense that he would have
Yeah.
named, they would have named
Yeah.
a son after him, the
Because
father.
he was the only
Yeah.
son that I was aware of. Because they would come from Cincinnati, and they would come to visit my grandma in Batesville. He always kidded me about being a bean eater for some reason.
Does that have to do with
I
it?
don't know what that had to do with it.
That's funny. What did he look like? Do you remember
He
at
was
all?
kind of tall with dark hair and.
Oh, I have him right here in the,
Nosy cat, huh?
wait a minute, Frank?
You wouldn't want
Yeah, I
that
see
cat.
Frank.
Get him.
In the 1900 census, he was born, he says he was born in 1890. Does that make sense?
Well, that's possible. I don't really
But it was a
know.
Frank Jr., like, yeah. Okay, yeah, he was a son of Frank and Filipina. And we figured out, through the help of Carmen and the various censuses, that we went even further back, that your great grandparents were, so that's two greats for you, was a T.C. Grossman, who was
Yeah.
from Baden, who was born in Baden, Germany,
Did anybody ever talk about that at all?
No.
right? And he was, his wife was Barbara. I have them in the 1860 census.
Yeah, that's possible. I
And-
wouldn't know. But
and
I know
down here,
definitely they were
and going-
German. I know that.
And the Schneiders, Philippina Schneider, her dad was a Philip Schneider from Prussia,
Yeah.
and his wife was Louisa from Prussia, and they were born in 1812 and 1817.
Gosh, maybe.
Imagine.
Do you remember Filipina, Mom? What
No.
a strange name.
It is, well, it's because there was a Philip was
I
the
think-
father,
I know, but-
that's what we think.
What a
Yeah.
strange name.
Yeah.
Mom.
I think she was his firstborn, so he wanted
Yeah,
to be
probably.
right.
Big lady.
Oh,
You did know.
remember?
I remember vaguely. She wasn't a very friendly grandma, I'll tell you that.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
you remember Filipino
Yeah,
now?
I remember my grandmother's mother. Yeah.
This,
So that's your great
Filipina?
grandmother.
Yeah,
She
my
just said
great-
her
Oh, you
grandma.
do?
Yeah. Oh, you do know.
what does she look like?
A big woman, and she ruled that house with an iron rod. Grandma would tell me, she said, we still loved her, but when one of us got a whipping, all of us would get a whipping. If we lost a needle, we would all get a spanking. She said, but we still loved her. She would always say that. But she was kind of a real cold woman.
What'd you call her?
I don't think I called her anything.
Great
I stayed out of
grandmother.
her way.
Yeah,
Oh, you didn't call her Filipina?
no, what you would.
No, I mean Grandma Filipina. No, I just think
You're
that's.
blocking her light a little bit. Can you
Oh,
move
I'm
it?
sorry.
No, just move the chair over.
No, I just thought that
We
was
want-
a
no, we want you to
strange
say-
name. I mean, not
It
strange.
is.
It is strange.
For that age, for being German, it's a strange name.
Now, Mom, who spoke German among
They
your
all did.
who's starting where? Who?
Grandma, Mom
Well,
did.
grandma, mom, and back to her mother, and back to her mother. Mom had to learn German in school. When you went to school, you said your lessons in German, and when you went to confession, you said your lessons in German and English.
Oh, really?
They all, whenever they wanted to say something they didn't want us kids to know, they said it in German. We didn't know, we just could guess.
That's why they kept it in the family, so
Yeah.
that they could.
She was called, I remember
That's
Grandma.
interesting.
Mom could speak
And she would say Grossmutti. She was talking about either Grandma to Calvi, she called her Grossmutti.
So they
I knew a few
kept it
German.
going for several generations.
Oh, yeah,
then.
oh, yeah.
It's
In
funny.
those days, you had to speak German.
Can I take you back to the Colvies for a second here? Now we're going back down the line to,
Another strange line.
this would be,
Really, you could write a novel.
But at least
really
we're
quick.
related to that really good picture, we think.
Yeah, well, we are distant. Yeah, we're related to him. That picture, that.
Kent?
Kent,
Kent,
yeah.
cool.
All right.
now what my research is showing so far is that you go from, your mom was, your grandmother was Christine Margaret to Colby, right?
Yeah.
Her mom and father, her father was William Colby, the husband of Margaret Grossman, right? Okay. So now, what can you tell us about him, William
Well,
Colby?
he must have came from a wealthy family because, excuse me, all his sons got big pieces of property. My grandpa, one got a farm, and then one got a nice brick house with about 3 or 4 acres. But grandpa got that nice brick house in Batesville with a nice yard, but that's all he got. But he never did anything, had a good job. He's raised on this farm, and then when he got married or whatever, he got a job in the lumber yard over at Rumweber's. Just stacking lumber. He had a stroke one day when he was 70. After that, he just kind of sat around.
I don't remember him at all.
He was a good-looking guy.
Yeah?
Curly hair.
Mom's a visual person, that's okay.
Sandy, why don't you sit, can you move over there? No, pull that chair up close
Well,
to
actually,
you.
I have to leave.
No, well,
Oh, okay, Dave, how much more do we have?
just a little bit more, we're real
Because Sandy wanted to see Mom and Dad a little before she left.
I can see her.
We found out through the what I've got before then is John Heinrich Ticovy, who was born in 1833 in Prussia.
Hey.
Prussia.
Okay, and he died in 1860 in Batesville. I'm sorry, he was married to a Mary Ann Westrick, is what I have, in 1860. And I have Mary Ann Westrick being born in Ohio in 1842. And I don't know if any of that That comes from the, I believe it was the Mormon FamilySearch.org that gave me that.
Oh, I see. No,
And so I'm just trying, and then, and I do have her, I do have a Mary Ann Ticovy in the 1880 census. So these
Now, Mary Ann, that name seems familiar.
Yeah,
Didn't
well,
you
there's
have?
a Mary to Kelly. I know she's a distant relative of my mom lived in Batesville.
Now, who was named Mary Ann though? There was somebody that,
I think that's a friend of Carmen, Mary Ann Keller.
but she, the Kellermans, though, were related, were Cutias. They weren't blood relatives.
No,
Okay,
they
okay,
adopted.
okay.
well, here's my dilemma, is in the 1880 census, John and Mary Ann are there, okay? And William is there, who is your grandfather, right? William's right? He was their son. He was, and he was, at least in this, he was the third at that time. He says that his father was born, he says, I'm sorry, if I take John Ticovy then, John Ticovy, your great-grandfather, right? Is that your great-grandfather? No, John Ticovy is is your great-grandfather. This John Ticovy is your great-grandfather, right? He says that he was born in Prussia. He says his father was born in Prussia, and then his mother was born in Prussia. Okay, so that's why I have question marks here. At least I put down there, you say there. And his wife, Mary Ann Ticovy, who I have down as Mary Ann Westrick, says that she was born in Ohio in 1842. And she says that her mom and her dad were born in Prussia. Now, if I do a search on the 1880 census for all those conditions of finding other Westricks who could have been, who could have been her parents, who were both born in Prussia, etc., etc.
Well, it could be, but.
The only one in the whole United States that I come up with that matches that, and I don't know if this makes any sense to you whatsoever, is a Mary Westrick who is in Ottawa, in the town of Ottawa, in the county of Putnam, Ohio, who was a widow in 1880. She fits the age, all those conditions that I mentioned. And so I don't know, does anything ring true there?
Not the slightest bit.
Okay, Ottawa, Putnam County, Ohio.
In Westrick, no way, huh?
And I'm sure, even though I have it here as R-I-C-K.
I was just gonna say, I bet it's C-H.
I bet it's C-H. I haven't seen C-K anywhere else, and in all the censuses.
I imagine it's spelled with a C-H. With a C-H.
Now there was,
Even that doesn't ring a bell. You spell it, and that still doesn't ring a bell.
Okay, all right, so, all right, well, we'll just keep searching on that, okay. There was a Bernhard Westrick who I thought might have been, who ran a general store in Batesville, or in Morris, I'm sorry, in Morris,
Does that ring a bell at all? No.
who I thought might have been her uncle or something.
It's possible. Morris is only about 3 miles from Batesville.
But that doesn't ring a bell, or Bernard? Okay. But it doesn't, that one doesn't work because his wife was from Pennsylvania. And she says that her mom was from Prussia. And I mean, there's other, anyway, we're working on various theories that
Well, Serena Westford doesn't ring a bell.
doesn't ring a bell, okay. Well, and that's the thing with the Mormon site, the familysearch.org.
Now,
You-
Mormon,
usually-
you mean the Mormon religion?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they're big on that.
No kidding.
they have their material, a lot of the material online now, you know, with the
Oh,
internet.
yeah.
That allows searching a lot, but you can't, you always have to confirm the information, because sometimes they're
But
getting
that
it from other,
Does that mean that somehow our families back were connected with the Mormon
No,
religion?
no, not at all.
Well, not that I,
Well, no, the Mormons have that
Oh, I
unusual
see.
belief that your ancestors.
Wait.
where you met. Oh, I'm sorry, are you,
Now we're rolling.
oh, where'd you guys meet, and then take us up to,
About the first time I asked you to dance.
well, my mom said I shouldn't dance with anybody I didn't know, so I said no. We were at Oldenburg. at a
Oh,
dance
you wouldn't
house.
be here.
Well, the next time I saw him, about a week later, he asked me to dance at a dance out
Look over
at the park. And I
Memorial.
thought, well, I saw him last week. I don't know who he is, but I did see him before, so I said, yeah.
Yeah, you asked her again? That takes guts, doesn't
Sure.
it? I mean,
Well, she
Why?
was
Because-
pretty.
why? Because you knew.
Because she was
Better
pretty.
believe it.
She said no, but you knew she meant yes.
Well, the first time she said no, and the next time she said okay.
I mean, Dad, didn't it take a lot of guts to ask again?
Well, you know, I just thought, well, you know,
he's
Worth a
Stahley.
shot.
wear her down.
Worth a shot, really.
So then she used to come and watch you play basketball?
Well, when we played at
Yeah.
Batesville, when Sunman played Batesville and beat the tar out of him, she would watch.
Okay, edit that, no, I'm just kidding.
And then you had an ice cream store for a
Yeah.
while, and Dad would, in Batesville.
And Dad liked ice cream all of a sudden.
As much as Ray Deeds does. Yeah. All of a sudden.
When you say you had the family had an ice cream store?
No,
Sure did.
I just had, for one
Managed an
year,
ice cream store.
for one summer, for a company up, ice cream company up in Franklin. I had people working for me and everything.
Oh, fabulous, I didn't know this.
Yeah,
I didn't know you were a CEO of a company.
yeah, I was chairman of the board.
She's a chief executive.
Yeah, I worked on a 13%, what do you call
Oh,
it?
commission.
Commission.
Gross.
Oh,
Commission.
it was like a
13%.
franchise then,
Yeah.
basically.
It was a franchise, they had stores all over.
Oh,
You
that's
got
great.
13%.
What
of the
was it
gross.
called?
And you had to
Graders,
pay your
was it?
own, they paid for all the utilities and then, but you had to pay your health. So I had all my girlfriends working for me. In those days, you'd work 75 cents for 2 or 3 hours. you know.
And all the ice cream you
All the
can.
ice cream you could eat.
You go.
What was it called?
That's funny.
Franklin Ice Cream, it's from Franklin, Indiana.
Oh, great. So then, so how long did you date before you popped the big one?
Well, we knew each other at least 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, in a little town like that, you go to a dance, people from all
Well, wait.
around come on.
After your first dance, how long was it?
I would say, oh, I don't know, we didn't go together study or anything for, well, I'd say about 3 years, maybe.
Or something like that. When we were seniors in
When she
high
was about
school.
18, see, you were almost 21. When we were seniors in high school, probably when we
Yeah.
started going
Yeah.
together.
Pretty steady, you know. And then we done.
And then you got married and on when?
Well, see, Dad had a barber shop, and if he had closed up on Saturday, he'd have missed most of his business. So we got married on Wednesday. And then we had a honeymoon Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, got home Sunday, didn't we?
And you went to this,
That's, in other
Where did you
words, I
go?
wasn't working down there long enough to have a big vacation, and we got married on Wednesday, then I took Thursday and Friday, or Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off that week. They'd let you get off, but that didn't necessarily mean they was gonna pay you for it.
yeah,
Where were you
yeah.
working? Where were
American Cane
American
Company.
Canyon.
And then you went to the Smokies on your,
Yeah,
on your, and the date, exact date and the church where you were married, just for posterity here?
Yeah.
November 12th, 1941, in St. Louis Church.
And then you went off to war, you had 2 babies and,
Well, but I didn't go to war till, I didn't actually leave till early in 44. I was in the service in 43. I didn't actually leave till early in 44. Sent me down to Fort McClellan for 3 months training and come back, and I got a little, 10-day leave. And then they sent me to, over there in New Jersey, that camp over there. What the heck's the name? I can't
and
think.
but Charlene and Sherry were already born.
Yeah,
Oh,
And
yeah.
you went back
Sherry
to
and
live with
Charlene
your
went back
mom.
home.
That's right.
For,
Yeah.
until Dad got back. And tell that one story, I know we have, where you saw him when he came home, and you had the 2 girls by the hands.
Oh, yeah, I took the doctor unfortunately lived a block down. And I took those poor kids to the doctor
That's what Dad was saying.
Because they wouldn't eat, you know. They ate all day, that's why they didn't eat. But anyhow, I would take them to see poor Dr. Bingham again. And we were walking down the street and I saw this soldier on the opposite side coming towards me.
You're watching, Joe.
He's thinking, okay, now we go, okay, guys,
And we saw, and
you did,
well, I knew he was gonna come home in a day or two, but you.
so she was checking out for you.
Came in on the train.
I would,
And he was walking down the street all dressed up.
She's like,
We saw him, and boy, we ran up to him, and the doctor heard me holler, I guess, because he came out on the porch, and we were hugging out there on the street, the little kids were standing there. They didn't know him, you know.
Oh, they didn't,
Well, Sherry had forgotten.
yeah. Well, you were gone.
well,
Almost 2
you
years.
take she was only a little over a year old.
Oh, yeah, so they don't know, but you were gone almost 2 years.
Now, I remember you said that you just dropped the kids' hands and ran over there, and the kids were left to just stand
Yeah,
there.
I guess so. And the doc, must have, maybe the kids crying, whatever, the doctor came out too, you know. And of course, I didn't keep the appointment, we went back home, and I forgot all about
Yeah, that one, well, she didn't make that one.
it. He was
Well, they probably didn't,
relieved.
Mom, they probably didn't need to go anyway,
Well,
but.
no, they didn't, but I just thought, yeah.
That was
Can I
a great
digress for
story.
just one thing, and
Yeah.
can you just, I mean, the depression was a very difficult time for your generation.
Oh,
So
it
any,
was.
some memories about that, and how you all out there in that area?
Well, I know that my dad got a quarter for a haircut and dime for a shave. A lot of times the guys would say Squirrely, that was his name,
Nickname.
Well, I just don't have the money, I'll pay you Tuesday, but of course, Tuesday was a payday in town. A lot of times that Tuesday never came. It was tough, sure, it was tough. Darn right.
Well, you had to almost wait till your dad got a couple customers sometime to get
To have enough to
grocery
eat,
stuff.
that's right.
Now, you had a little easier on the,
Well, on the farm, we had enough to eat, you know. It might not have been what
We
you
had enough to
wanted,
eat, but we.
but we had stuff
Certainly
to eat because we
wasn't.
grew crops and
Great.
animals and chickens and fowl and, you know, we had guineas and chickens and geese and ducks and whatever, turkeys.
I mean, I guess you could hunt, there wasn't.
Thing of it is though, this here's gonna really sound really funny. We raised turkeys. You know, they were kinda like wild turkeys, they'd go out and hide their nests away and stuff, but we always fed them back there under the locust trees, so they would come back, you know. Maybe when they got their real little ones, they may, and nesting, they may have been gone for a while, but they would come back. We never had turkey one time until I was married, and we had, they were too expensive to eat.
You could get so much for them, you could, yeah. That's pretty wild though. What'd you have for Thanksgiving, goose or something, or?
Well, a goose, we'd have a goose sometime, or, we butchered around Thanksgiving, the first, we'd only butcher one hog then, because maybe the temperature wouldn't stay cold enough to keep it, you know, too long, you'd have to work it up fat. But we would have, maybe a pork loin or something.
Was nothing wrong with that.
No, we would have,
We always had a baked chicken or a baked goose. Grandma Kelly would come up, it's Grandma Margaret Grossman would come up and help Mom pick the goose down, and then they would put stuffed pillows with it.
yeah, oh yeah.
It was a big deal.
Oh,
We
I remember
picked them
you had
even-
goose down, I remember we jumping on that bed up and you were upstairs. Had goose.
Yeah.
We didn't even wait till we butchered them. We'd save the down feathers in, but in like you know,
You
in the-
chased them around?
we would gang them up, and a certain time of year, and I don't forget this when it was, but it must have been after cold weather was pretty well over, toward spring maybe, and we would pull that down feathers off of them underneath the.
Ooh, I never heard of that.
Sure did.
It's
Can
like,
I ask
It's
where-
like shaving sheep, but not. they're
Well, I guess so. We shaved sheep.
Sheared
we
sheep.
sheared
Sheared
sheep
sheep?
too.
Well, I want to ask about oyster dressing, and then we need to.
Oh, yeah, my mom's, I don't know where she got cause her mother never made oyster dressing, but mom, I think it was dad's favorite, somehow or other he acquired a favorite. Maybe Aunt Grandma Sophie made it, I don't know, but anyhow.
And
Great grandma
who?
who?
Now, that's
That was
Monty's
his-
second wife,
Sophie?
Sophie, S-O-P-H,
Oh, didn't you wanna know that?
well, that's not,
She's not lineal, but,
Yeah.
what's her, did you remember her last name?
no.
And
Uh,
Sophie?
what-
Oh.
Bert wanted me to ask about the coin that was on the barn, commemorating or as a sign that the Union troops came by your barn.
Well, I don't know that the sign was on there. I don't remember the sign was on there.
He said there was some coin stamped or nailed to the barn
Oh.
about Union troops coming through to that
What?
barn.
Why this? No, it was in the Civil War.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Morgan's Raiders.
Well, did they ever leave the
I don't remember the sign. They never told me about the sign, but the Morgan's Raiders, there was out from that cemetery. See, they filled that in quite a bit and made that road quite a bit wider. See, but there was a pretty good area there, and in the cemetery too. Morgan Raiders stayed there, camped overnight, and I'm sure that whoever lived there then had better horses. And they had their horses in their barn, but they had sentries out. And from what I hear, they slept in that house where I lived. You know, some of them.
This was before it belonged to your family, though.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is
grandpa.
Civil War. Yeah, his family, but that was an old house, huh?
It wasn't.
Oh, that was an
That's
old
a
house.
very old
My
It was
dad-
like 20 years before.
My dad was born in 1877.
Yeah, so it's not that.
And he
far.
says that was an older house then.
Well, wasn't it an inn? I thought it was like.
Well, what it was is
Yeah.
that a spring right across that road that run past that little road, that spring run eternally. I tell you what, it's just always, that spring water come out of there, winter, summer, or whatever. In the wintertime it might have froze up some, but they'd find a place to get out. And there was that, I might have been an acre over there or whatever. And people would drive their cattle or hogs and stuff into the city, and there would be one of their stopping places. And that house had 5 chimneys. So
Wow.
each person would have their own,
Little fireplace.
That's unusual, yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it wasn't.
'Cause it was like an inn.
built as a house or an inn?
well, I don't know what it was built as, but they used it as an inn, you know, long before we ever lived there.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And there
to
was
be
no
built
front
with
porch.
5 chimneys, is that unusual though, for a house though?
Yeah, to build it with 5 chimneys, they may have figured building it as an inn, you know, could have.
You guys had about 160 acres, is that right?
No, oh no,
Or
no.
who?
And that was a quarter, 240 is what what do they call that, a square or whatever they call it. And we had a quarter that would have been 80 acres. But then there was a little bit down there with the cemetery, and that other house had a little bit inside the creek there, so it was less than 80 acres, you know.
Okay. And so what was your cash, I mean, what was your market crop, or was that, I mean, and your dad was a postman, right?
Yeah, but I don't remember, by the time I was born, my dad was just on that farm.
I see. And so what was the,
Well, we had,
cash
we
cash
raised,
crop? Yeah.
we raised hogs, and we had corn to feed the hogs, you know. And then, like I say, they had chickens,
Turkeys.
well,
They sold eggs too.
we sold
I've never
eggs,
seen
and
an
we
egg
sold,
stack.
see, at that time, they didn't call them out, the hens or roosters, until whatever they were, you got, so we'd buy a couple hundred chickens, little bitty chicken.
See?
And then the roosters, we'd eat some of them and we'd sell some of them to the market too. And the other ones would grow up and lay the eggs, stuff like that.
The market's in
And we did
Batesville?
sell milk and cream.
Cincinnati probably.
You had to take this stuff to Cincinnati? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
we sold milk and cream also. Cream you could sell at Sunman after I was old enough, but I don't know about before that. But John Meyer, Cab's dad, had a truck route and 2 trucks, and his Cab's 2 half-brothers drove those routes out there and picked it up and hauled it down to Cincinnati, the milk. And you'd set your cans out there, and we had an old separator would separate the milk, cream from the milk. And if you wanted to do it, we did that too quite a bit and took some of it up to, and then the milk you could feed back to your hog, you know.
So you gave them a little bit and then they brought your cans back and gave you the, I mean, you gave them something for taking it to Cincinnati.
Well, they charge you something, yeah,
Oh,
sure.
yeah, I mean, that's-
So much,
Yeah.
probably like so much a week for whatever 10-gallon can, 2 or 3 or 4, whatever you had in a week.
Cincinnati was a hub of everything.
And the hogs, the one time we got,
It really was.
what was it? How much did we get? I think it was $2.60 100.
Oh my gosh.
100,
That's
Pounds?
why we didn't eat.
That was in the Depression.
no, 100 pounds or 100
Yeah, it
hogs?
No, it couldn't be a
pound.
100.
Oh,
And a
100
hog would
hogs.
weigh probably like
Oh,
200 pounds, 180 to 220. Say average out at 200 pounds. So you got a
$5 a hog.
That was in
$2.60
Depression, you know.
for a 100. So you would get around $5 for a whole hog. But now here's the other catch. They charge you for hauling to Cincinnati, and the stockyard charge you for boarding them until
that's
somebody
just
bought
not right. So you might as well just eat the suckers.
them. Well, we did eat all we could.